The sky over New York turned purple one Tuesday morning in May 2147. Giant ships appeared above all major cities on Earth at the same time. They were smooth and silver, shaped like eggs, and larger than most buildings. People stopped and stared. Some ran in fear. Others took videos with their phones. In the United Nations building, Secretary General Alice Warren got the news from her assistant. "They're asking to talk to Earth's leaders," he said, his voice shaking. Within hours, Alice sat at a large table with U.S. President John Carter and leaders from 20 other nations. Across from them were 3 tall aliens with blue skin and silver eyes. Their leader was Admiral Krell. "We welcome Earth to the Galactic Empire," said Krell in perfect English. His voice was smooth and calm. "We have watched your planet for many years. You have reached the technology level where we can now invite you to join our peaceful civilization." President Carter leaned forward. "We appreciate your invitation, Admiral. But we have many questions about what joining your empire means for Earth." Admiral Krell smiled, but his eyes remained cold. "Of course, we will answer all questions. The empire includes over 200 species living in perfect harmony. We eliminated war thousands of years ago. Our technology and culture have evolved beyond such primitive behaviors." When he said the word primitive, several human leaders shifted in their seats. They noticed how the aliens looked at them, like adults watching children play with toys. Dr. Samantha Boyd stood against the wall, listening carefully. As Earth's top expert in language and culture studies, she was there to understand these new visitors. Something about Admiral Krell's words bothered her. He used the right words, but his tone suggested he was not telling the whole truth. "You say you have no war," she said, speaking up even though she wasn't supposed to. "How did you achieve that?" Krell turned to her slowly. "All advanced species eventually grow beyond violence. Those who cannot are not truly intelligent." Lieutenant Eric Daniels stood near the door in his Navy uniform. His hand never moved far from his gun. As security for the American team, he watched the aliens closely. 20 years of military service had taught him to spot threats. These aliens seemed too perfect, too clean. In his experience, nothing was ever that simple. After the meeting, Samantha found Eric in the hallway. "Did you notice how they avoided my question?" she asked. Eric nodded. "I noticed a lot of things. They talked about peace, but their ships are clearly warships. And did you see the guards behind them? Those weren't ceremonial weapons. They want us to think they're beyond war," Samantha said. "But I think they're hiding something big." Over the next 6 months, the aliens shared some technology with Earth. They helped cure some diseases and showed humans how to make cleaner energy. But they never invited humans onto their ships. They never shared their weapons technology. And they always talked about how humans needed to evolve past their violent nature. Eric and Samantha began meeting regularly to share notes. Eric brought in maps showing where the aliens were building what they called cultural integration centers around the world. "They're all near major military bases," he pointed out. Samantha showed him translations of alien messages she had intercepted. "They keep using a word that means potential threat when they talk about humans. And look at this part where they discuss our military history." Eric read the translation and looked up with worried eyes. "They're not afraid of our weapons. They're afraid of how quickly we adapt in war, how we keep finding new ways to fight. I think," Samantha said slowly, "they didn't end war because they evolved. I think they ended it because they won, and now they make sure nobody else can challenge them." Outside, the alien ships hovered silently over the city, their shadows growing longer as the sun set. 6 months after the aliens arrived, Admiral Krell called for a special meeting at the United Nations. The room was tense as world leaders gathered. Outside, people watched on giant screens in city squares. "The time has come for Earth to take the next step," Admiral Krell announced. His blue face showed no emotion. "To join our empire, you must first give up all your military forces, all weapons, all soldiers, all warships. You have 1 year to do this." The room erupted in shouts. President Carter stood up. "You're asking us to completely disarm, to leave Earth with no defense." "You will have our protection," Krell said. "War is a disease that must be cured. Your species cannot advance until you let go of violence." After the meeting, world leaders argued for days. Many wanted to accept the deal to get alien technology. They talked about how humans could travel to the stars and live for hundreds of years with Empire medicine. Samantha and Eric met in a small coffee shop 3 blocks from the UN building. They chose a table in the back, away from windows. "They're pushing hard for us to disarm," Eric said quietly. "Why the rush?" Samantha slid a tablet across the table. "I broke into their communication system last week. Look at this message from Krell to his homeworld." Eric read the screen and frowned. The message said, "Humans show dangerous war abilities. Their history reveals quick adaptation to battlefield challenges. Unlike the Zorn or Talax species, humans might evolve weapons to threaten us if given enough time." "They're afraid of us," Eric whispered. "Not of what we are now," Samantha corrected. "Of what we might become." That same day, in a CIA office in Virginia, William Martinez stared at his computer. As an analyst with 20 years of experience and former Marine Service, he was assigned to study the aliens' history records. "Sir, I found something strange," he told his boss. "The Empire has records of over 500 species they've contacted, but only 200 exist in their empire now. There's no information about what happened to the others." His boss looked nervous. What did these missing species have in common? "Almost all had strong military histories," William said. "And they all disappeared from records shortly after contact with the Empire." 2 days later, Eric, Samantha, and William met in a secure underground room with military leaders from several countries. General Laura Kelly from the U.S. Army spoke first. "We have evidence suggesting the Empire destroys species they see as threats. We need to prepare without them knowing. But their ships watch everything we do," said the Russian commander. Eric stood up. "Not everything. We've identified blind spots in their surveillance, places deep underground, underwater facilities, and some mountain regions." William showed maps on a screen. "We can hide key personnel and equipment in these locations, build a resistance force while pretending to comply." "We need a name for this operation," General Kelly said. "Something to rally around." "Terran Shield," Samantha suggested, "because we'll be Earth's last defense." Over the next weeks, as world governments publicly debated the Empire's offer, Terran Shield grew in secret. Soldiers disappeared from official records but reported to hidden bases. Weapons were officially destroyed, but actually moved to secure locations. Samantha worked with tech experts to create communication systems the aliens couldn't detect. William gathered intelligence from his global network. Eric trained elite units in how to fight a technologically superior enemy. Meanwhile, the Empire built more cultural integration centers around the world. People lined up to see the amazing technology inside. No one questioned why the centers had such thick walls or why they were always built near population centers. 6 months into the year-long countdown, President Carter met with Eric and Samantha in a secure room deep beneath the White House. "We're getting reports of people disappearing after visiting the integration centers," the president said. "And our satellites show strange energy readings from their ships." "They're preparing for something," Eric said. "The disarmament deadline is just their cover story." Samantha's tablet beeped with an alert. Her face went pale as she read the screen. "We're out of time," she said. "I just decrypted a message from Krell to his fleet. It contains a single order." She looked up at them with fear in her eyes. "It says, 'Prepare for pacification.'" Samantha stood in front of a mirror in the small bathroom of an Empire research ship. She adjusted the blue skin covering that made her look like one of them. Her heart beat fast, but her hands were steady. She had 3 hours to find proof of what the Empire was really planning. She walked through the ship's hallways, nodding at aliens who passed by. Her stolen uniform and fake ID card worked perfectly. When she reached the main computer room, she waited until it was empty and slipped inside. "Let's see what secrets you're hiding," she whispered as her fingers moved across the alien keyboard. She had studied their language for months. Now she searched their historical records, going back thousands of years. What she found made her gasp. The Empire wasn't built through peaceful evolution as they claimed. It was built on the bones of hundreds of destroyed civilizations. The original Empire species had conquered their first neighbors 12,000 years ago. Any species that refused to give up their weapons was wiped out completely. Any that might one day become a threat was carefully controlled or eliminated. The Empire kept only the species that were useful for work or resources. Samantha downloaded everything she could onto a small device hidden in her sleeve. Then she found current files about Earth. The Empire saw humans as extremely dangerous because of one thing: how quickly humans adapted to war. Humans show unusual ability to develop new weapons and tactics during conflict, one report said. No other species shows this rapid war evolution. If allowed to develop, humans could eventually match our technology and become the only real threat to Empire control. She took pictures of the most important screens. Then she carefully left the room and headed back toward the shuttle that would return her to Earth. Meanwhile, William Martinez traveled to a remote area in northern Canada. He had received a strange message from someone claiming to be a survivor of an Empire attack. The meeting point was an old mining tunnel deep in the mountains. William brought 2 trusted soldiers with him. They entered the dark tunnel with weapons ready. At the end of the tunnel, they found something unexpected. 3 aliens waited for them, but these looked nothing like the Empire species. They were shorter with rough, gray skin and 4 eyes that blinked nervously. "You are from Earth military?" one asked in broken English. William nodded, keeping his gun ready. "Who are you?" "We are Valkyrie. Empire tried to kill all our people centuries ago. Few escaped. We hide. We watch. We warn." The Valkyrie showed William images of their home world, now an empty wasteland. They explained how the Empire had attacked without warning after the Valkyrie refused to disarm. Empire technology, not their own, the Valkyrie leader said. They steal from conquered species, add each new knowledge to their weapons. "Why are you helping us?" William asked. "Humans different. You adapt, you fight differently. You might be first to defeat them." The Valkyrie gave William something that looked like a small silver box. "This shows Empire ship weakness. Shield gap points." While Samantha and William gathered information, Eric worked to hide Earth's military strength. Deep underwater bases were built in secret. Mountain bunkers were stocked with weapons and supplies. Key scientists and soldiers moved to these hidden places with their families. Eric met with military leaders from 20 countries in an old missile silo in the American Midwest. "The Empire thinks we're disarming," he told them, "but we're actually preparing for the fight of our lives." He showed them new weapons designed to work against Empire shields, based on what they had learned from captured technology. "Our biggest advantage is that they haven't fought a real war in thousands of years," Eric explained. "They've forgotten how to adapt in battle. But that's what humans do best." As the meeting ended, Eric received an urgent call from Samantha. She had returned safely and needed to share what she had discovered. "Eric," her voice shook with emotion, "it's worse than we thought. The Empire has destroyed hundreds of species, and we're next on their list." The day before Earth was supposed to officially join the Empire, people around the world celebrated. Empire ships hung in the sky above major cities, decorated with lights. In New York, a stage was built in front of the United Nations building for the ceremony. Secretary General Alice Warren practiced her speech about peace and progress. Eric watched the preparations from his apartment window. His phone rang. "It's happening tonight," Samantha said, her voice urgent. "I just decoded a message from the Empire fleet. They're calling it the pacification of Terra. It starts at midnight." Eric grabbed his emergency bag. "I'll alert the Terran shield commanders. Get to the safe location we discussed." Across the world, Members of Terran Shield received the same warning. They moved quickly to their assigned positions in hidden bases. At exactly midnight, the Empire ships changed. Their lights went out. Their smooth surfaces opened to reveal weapons. Without warning, they fired on military bases, government buildings, and power plants around the world. People ran screaming through the streets as explosions lit up the night sky. Empire shuttles landed in cities, and soldiers poured out. They wore black armor and carried weapons that fired blue energy beams. At the United Nations, Admiral Krell marched onto the stage where the peace ceremony was to take place the next day. His soldiers dragged Secretary General Warren from her home and forced her to kneel before him. Millions watched on emergency broadcasts as Krell spoke. Your leaders were given the chance to join us peacefully. They chose to hide weapons instead. Now you will see the price of defiance. He raised a silver weapon and pointed it at Alice Warren's head. She looked directly into the cameras. Humanity will never surrender, she said clearly. Then Krell fired, and she fell. Let this be a lesson, Krell announced. Resistance means death. In Washington, D.C., President Carter was rushed to a bunker deep beneath the White House as Empire ships bombed the city. He activated a special communication system. This is President Carter initiating Protocol Lazarus, he said to military leaders around the world. The Empire has shown its true face. Engage all Terran Shield assets immediately. Then he entered a secret elevator that took him to an underground train. The train sped away from Washington minutes before the White House was destroyed. The first day of the attack was devastating. The Empire targeted known military bases and defense systems. Their weapons easily destroyed conventional armies that hadn't been hidden by Terran Shield. Samantha worked frantically at a computer in an underwater base off the coast of Florida. She had studied Empire communications for months, and now used that knowledge to create false messages. I'm making their ships report successful strikes on bases that don't exist, she told Eric over the secure line. It's buying us time to get our people in position. Eric coordinated with surviving military units, directing them to regroup at secret locations. The Empire thinks they know all our capabilities, he told his commanders. Their mistake is thinking we fight like they do. 3 days into the attack, Admiral Krell stood on his command ship, watching holographic displays of Earth's cities burning. His second-in-command approached. The pacification is proceeding as expected, Admiral. We have eliminated 70% of their military capabilities and established control centers in major population areas. And the resistance? Krell asked. Minimal and disorganized. They cannot stand against our technology. Krell nodded, satisfied. Begin Phase 2. Start processing suitable humans for labor assignments. Eliminate any who show aggressive tendencies. What Krell didn't know was that his conversation was being recorded by tiny drones developed by Terran Shield. In hidden bases around the world, humans watched and listened, learning the Empire's plans and weaknesses. They think they've won, Eric told his soldiers as they prepared for their first counterattack. But the real war is just beginning. 3 months after the Empire attack, a squad of alien soldiers patrolled through the ruins of Chicago. They moved with confidence, their black armor gleaming in the sunlight. The city seemed empty and quiet. Sector 7 clear, the squad leader reported into his communicator. No human activity detected. A small piece of concrete fell from a building nearby. When the soldiers turned to look, a dozen hidden doors opened in the street and walls around them. Humans emerged with weapons and attacked from all directions. In less than a minute, all the alien soldiers were down. The humans quickly took the aliens' weapons and disappeared back into their hidden tunnels. This same scene played out in cities around the world. The human resistance was growing stronger every day. In an underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Eric met with resistance leaders. Maps on the walls showed Empire positions and human strike points. Their soldiers have good weapons but poor training, Eric explained. They rely too much on their technology and don't expect us to adapt so quickly. A woman raised her hand. My team took out 2 patrols in Denver this week. Their armor has a weak spot at the neck joint. Eric nodded. Good. Share that information with all units. Remember, we learn and adapt faster than they do. In another part of the base, Samantha worked with a team of scientists. They had captured Empire weapons and technology, taking them apart to understand how they worked. Their shield technology operates on a frequency we can disrupt, Samantha told her team. And look at this communication device. It uses the same protocols across their entire fleet with minimal security. William Martinez entered the room, followed by 3 Valkyrie aliens. Our friends have more information for us, he said. The lead Valkyrie placed a device on the table that projected a 3D image of an Empire ship. Empire ships have weak points here and here, he said, pointing to specific areas. Their design never changes because they never needed to improve. President Carter, now leading the resistance government, visited the base that day. His face was thinner, and his eyes showed the strain of the past months. Empire propaganda says we're nearly defeated, he told the gathered leaders. But we know the truth. Their occupation is failing. Their soldiers can't handle our hit-and-run tactics. Reports came in from around the world. In Australia, resistance fighters had destroyed an Empire supply depot. In Brazil, they had captured an alien communication center. In Russia, they had rescued hundreds of people from a labor camp. The Empire controlled the major cities and the skies, but they were losing the ground war. Their soldiers were used to fighting with overwhelming technological advantage. They didn't know how to handle an enemy that hid, then struck from unexpected directions. Admiral Krell was furious. He stood on his command ship, watching videos of his soldiers falling to human attacks. How is this possible? He shouted at his officers. They are primitives. They should be begging for mercy. The humans don't fight like other species we've conquered, one officer said nervously. They adapt to our tactics faster than we can respond. Then we will make them fear us too much to resist, Krell said coldly. Begin civilian punishment protocols. For every soldier we lose, destroy a human settlement. The Empire began bombing small towns and villages that had shown no signs of resistance. They thought this would break human spirits. Instead, it drove more people to join the fight. Eric watched the bombing reports with a grim face. Krell is getting desperate, he told Samantha. He's making mistakes. Samantha nodded. And I think I found his biggest mistake. She showed Eric her computer screen. Look at this. All Empire ships use the same communication system with the same security codes. If we can crack one, we can hack them all. Eric's eyes widened. How long will it take? With help from the Valkyrie technology, Samantha said, maybe 2 weeks. For the first time in months, Eric smiled. Then in 2 weeks, we start taking back our planet. 1 year after the Empire invaded Earth, the Resistance was ready to strike back. The day was called Operation Prometheus, named after the ancient god who gave fire to humans. In the main Resistance base, President Carter addressed the leaders gathered from around the world. His voice was strong despite the hard year they had endured. Today we show the Empire that humanity will not be conquered, he said. Today we take back our world. The first part of the plan began at dawn. In every occupied city across the planet, hidden resistance fighters emerged from tunnels, sewers, and secret rooms. They attacked Empire patrols and control centers in perfect coordination. Eric led a team of 50 soldiers in New York. They moved through the ruins of the city, using routes the Empire didn't know existed. Their target was the main command center in what used to be Central Park. Remember, Eric told his team, their soldiers aren't used to real combat. They rely on their technology, and they don't adapt quickly. The team split into 5 groups and approached the command center from different directions. When they were in position, Eric gave the signal. All groups attacked at once, using weapons they had captured and modified from the Empire. The alien soldiers were caught by surprise. Their superior technology wasn't enough against humans who had spent their entire history developing better ways to fight. Within an hour, the New York command center was under human control. Similar battles happened in cities around the world. The resistance had studied Empire tactics for a year and knew exactly how to counter them. While the ground battles raged, Samantha launched the second part of the plan. In a bunker deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, she sat at a computer console surrounded by the best human and Valkyrie technical experts. "Activating the virus now," she said, her fingers moving across the keyboard. For months, they had worked to create a computer virus that could infect the Empire's network. Using what they learned from captured equipment and Valkyrie knowledge, they had found a weakness in the Empire's system. The aliens had used the same basic technology for thousands of years, never needing to improve their security because no one had challenged them. Now that overconfidence would cost them. The virus spread through the Empire network in seconds. Across the planet, alien ships lost communication with each other. Their targeting computers failed. Their artificial intelligence systems crashed. It worked. Samantha shouted as reports came in from around the world. They're blind and deaf. With the Empire fleet in chaos, William Martinez led the third part of the plan. His team had trained for months on a captured alien shuttle. Now they flew toward the main Empire cruiser hovering over Washington, D.C. The ship's defenses were down because of Samantha's virus. William's team landed in the shuttle bay without being challenged. They moved through the ship, taking control of key systems. "We've reached the bridge," William reported over the secure channel. "The ship is ours." For the first time, humans had control of an Empire ship capable of traveling between stars. It was a turning point in the war. Admiral Krell watched in disbelief as reports of defeats came in from around the planet. His perfect plan was falling apart. His unstoppable fleet was being defeated by primitives. "This is impossible," he said to his second-in-command. "No species has ever resisted us this way." "The humans fight differently," the officer replied. "They don't follow predictable patterns. Each time we adapt to their tactics, they change them." Krell made a decision. He sent an urgent message to the Empire homeworld, breaking a rule that no conquest force should ever request help. "Send reinforcements immediately," his message said. "The human resistance is stronger than expected. They have captured our technology and learned to use it against us." What Krell didn't realize was that his message was intercepted by Samantha's team. Now they knew reinforcements were coming, and they could prepare. Eric stood on the roof of the captured command center in New York, watching Empire soldiers retreat. "Phase 1 complete," he said into his communicator. "Tell the president we're ready for Phase 2. 3 weeks after Operation Prometheus began, the Empire reinforcements arrived. 100 massive ships appeared near the moon. They were bigger than the first invasion fleet and carried more weapons. From the captured Empire cruiser now called Earth's Hope, William Martinez watched them arrive. "They're forming attack positions," he reported to the resistance leadership. But they seemed confused about what's happening on Earth. The reason for their confusion was simple. The resistance had taken control of all Empire communication systems on the planet. The reinforcements were receiving false reports created by Samantha's team. "Let them come closer," President Carter ordered from the main resistance base. "Wait until they're all within range." When the Empire fleet moved into Earth's orbit, Samantha activated the trap they had prepared. Using knowledge from the Valkyrie and technology from captured ships, the resistance had built special transmitters around the planet. "Activating disruptor field now," Samantha said, pressing the final key on her console. The transmitter sent a powerful signal that spread through the Empire fleet. Their shields flickered and failed. Their engines stopped working. The mighty ships hung in space, powerless. "Now, William," Carter ordered. William's team had loaded Earth's Hope with a special computer virus. They launched it toward the disabled fleet. The virus spread from ship to ship, locking their control systems and preventing them from regaining power. On Earth, the final battle for major cities continued. Empire soldiers fought desperately, but were overwhelmed by human forces who had learned to use Empire weapons better than the aliens themselves. Eric led the attack on the last Empire stronghold in what used to be London. The aliens had built a massive fortress there, and Admiral Krell had fled to it when New York fell. "Remember, we need Krell alive," Eric told his assault team. "He's the key to ending this war." They fought their way through the fortress, level by level. The Empire soldiers were elite guards, but they fought according to rigid training that hadn't changed in centuries. The humans adapted their tactics for each new situation, something the Empire couldn't understand or match. Finally, Eric reached the command center. Admiral Krell stood surrounded by his last loyal officers. "You cannot win," Krell said, his voice still confident despite everything. "The Empire spans 1,000 worlds. This planet is nothing." "But we've already won," Eric replied. "Your reinforcements are disabled. Your ground forces are defeated. And now we have you." Krell was taken prisoner, the first time in Empire history that a fleet commander had been captured. Under guard, he was brought to the Resistance headquarters to face President Carter. "How?" Krell asked, looking around at the human leaders. "How did primitives defeat the greatest power in the galaxy?" Samantha stepped forward. "Because you forgot how to adapt. Your empire became perfect but stopped growing. Humans never stopped changing, never stopped finding new ways to solve problems. William brought in the Valkyrie representatives. And you're not the only ones who survived your attempts to wipe them out. We've contacted other species who escaped your pacifications." For the first time, fear showed in Krell's eyes. "What do you want?" President Carter spoke firmly. "A new beginning. The Empire will withdraw from Earth. You will free all conquered species who wish independence. And you will learn to live in peace with neighbors instead of ruling over them." 6 months later, Earth led the first meeting of the new Galactic Council. Representatives from 30 formerly conquered species sat together with Empire officials. The age of Empire was over. A new era of cooperation had begun. On a balcony overlooking the rebuilt New York, Eric, Samantha, and William watched ships from many worlds landing peacefully at the new spaceport. The Empire thought war was primitive, something advanced species grew beyond. Samantha said, "But they were wrong. Conflict drives innovation," William added. "Without challenges, they stopped improving." Eric nodded. Humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy wasn't peace. It was teaching them that conflict, when channeled properly, makes everyone stronger. As the sun set, the stars became visible above them. Stars that humans would now travel to as equals, not subjects. The galaxy would never be the same again. And neither would humanity.